Bill, 2 weeks after launching his re-election campaign, a recent poll has President Biden's approval rating at just 36%. That's the lowest of any first-term president. But RNC Chairwoman Ronna McDaniel says the historically low poll numbers don't necessarily translate into GOP victories. Watch.
Democrats are always investing in process. You don't see Democrats sitting around whining that they just lost the House or complaining that Nancy Pelosi's not the Speaker. They're already in Pennsylvania organizing and getting people on the permanent voter roll. They don't care what Biden's poll numbers are. They don't even care who the candidate is. They care about power and putting these bad policies on the American people.
Let's bring in former Speaker of the House, Newt Gingrich, a Fox News contributor. So just so everyone sees, once again, President Biden's job approval at 36%. Now, that is just one poll, but the other polls are sort of trending in that direction. So I don't think it's an outlier. But should Republicans take Ronna McDaniel's warning seriously?
Well, sure. I mean, look, first of all, it's a long way to the election, and things can change. Second, the Democrats have been very, very good at survival. Look at the big cities that are disasters but that have Democratic mayors, and it's unlikely you could beat them. So their capacity for power is enormous. They desperately want to stay in power, and they're going to do everything they can to do that. Now, having said that, the American people in the end are sovereign, and if they get mad enough, they will throw people out. I mean, you know, Jimmy Carter learned that. George H.W. Bush learned that. The fact is the American people ultimately can hire and fire despite the news media and despite everything else, at least at the presidential level. So I think Biden has to be worried, and he has to be doubly worried because Kamala Harris is an enormous drag on the ticket. And the idea that the two of them are going to be on the ticket next year, if I were a Democrat, I'd be a little nervous.
Let's talk about the balance of power in Congress then. On the Senate side, Mitch McConnell said this on CNN. We do have the possibility of screwing this up, and that gets back to candidate recruitment. I think that we lost Georgia, Arizona, and New Hampshire because we didn't have competitive candidates. Right now, 51 Dems, 49 Republicans in the U.S. Senate. That's the balance of power. But McConnell thinks they can really go after states like West Virginia, in Ohio, maybe Pennsylvania, maybe Montana. I mean, how do you forecast that as of today?
Well, I think that it's very clear. I happened to be at the Greenbrier when Governor Justice announced for the Senate. He's a very formidable candidate, a very popular governor, former Democrat, the most likely person to be elected to the Senate from West Virginia, which would be a net one for the Republicans. I think that if the Biden economy and the Biden border issues and the drugs, the report you just had from Washington State, which is devastating. I mean, at some point, what happens is people say, this ain't working. And if they conclude that the Biden administration can't succeed, then I think states like Ohio, which is very heavily Republican now, Pennsylvania, a number of places suddenly tilt our way. Montana very easily could become Republican. So I think the mood of a year from now is really, really important. And most people now forecast that the economy will get worse, not better. Clearly, the problems on the border are astonishing. I watched Fox footage of, hundreds of young men, and almost all of them were young males, out in the open on a highway in daylight, entering the United States illegally. Well, all of that, I think, weighs on the American people, and I think all of it probably is going to make it very hard for them to win for the Democrats to win next year.
Oh, just quickly, this afternoon at 4 o'clock, the White House is inviting Republican and Democratic leaders to talk about the debt ceiling. And this, Biden would like to make this a conversation between him and McConnell, but it really isn't. It's between him and Leader McCarthy, or Speaker McCarthy. And so how do you think that will go this afternoon? What would you recommend Speaker McCarthy do this afternoon?
Well, let me pick up on the point you just made, which I think is very historic. Mitch McConnell has been a player in these kind of negotiations for a generation. He concluded, apparently, and I really commend him for this, that McCarthy, having passed a debt ceiling bill, so McCarthy, in a sense, could say the House Republicans have eliminated the danger of default. The question now is whether or not the president is going to recognize that he's got a way to avoid default and going to work it out. And I think for McConnell to have said publicly, as he has, that he is going to follow McCarthy's lead is truly a historic shift, and who is basically going to represent the Republican Party in these negotiations.
Interesting. Well, we'll be following it at 4 o'clock today.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.